Okay. Cool. Okay. Nobody watching. Okay, hello. So if you're watching this back later, basically I am just trying to just kind of do some music every week for like 30 minutes or so, do some composing or, maybe working on practicing a song or something like that. This week I'm going to be working on composing. A good friend of mine named Levi has been working on a game as of late, and he's asked me to do a little bit of the score to it. So basically, I'm just going to be live stream on doing that. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to share my screen this time around. I am working and I'm going to try and figure out how to do that in the future. But hopefully you guys can hear it, and if not, well, hopefully somebody will hop on and let me know that so that I can then figure that out. Okay, so what we're going to be working on today is the ocean theme to this for this game. Basically, it's a very it's a kind of dark sci-fi adventure from what I know thus far. About you basically exploring a dead planet, where so like the planet itself isn't so much dead; it's covered in ice, but but like there are no living people there, and I believe there is a bit of a like a zombie virus on the loose, something along those lines. So basically, yeah, that's the main point of it. And throughout what they've come up with, I got the feeling of this sort of running motif of uh, water. It's not really water. Technically, it's liquid methane, but it's taking the place of water in this planet. So I wrote a motif for that, and let me see if I can isolate that at some point. I've already finished a version of the main theme to this game, and during that, nope, I came up with one part for lead violin that I liked. That was a bit of a counterline to the main melody, and I decided that would be sort of the basis of the life motif, as I'm calling it, which basically represents, the sort of life force of this planet. This, in a literal sense, this kind of access to uh, liquid methane, the stand-in for water. In a more figurative sense, sort of like that people's chance of survival that they had while they were there. So, for instance, when you explore the villages of the natives to the planet, that is going to be a core part of their theme, representing, they've lived there probably for like hundreds of years or more, and they sort of had a good chance and something happened that caused them to die. Versus there's another area which is like a colony, so like people coming from some other planet to um, to live here long after those natives had already died out. But from the beginning, they never really had a chance. Like they weren't able to tap into the um, like resources of the planet and everything, and they just weren't able to do that. So they wouldn't have that life motif in their music. Um, so basically, that's it. I'm working on the ocean theme, which has this motif, which I'm about to play for you, uh, as the core element because it's representative of this life force of this planet, this liquid methane, water, whatever have you. And I'm gonna play it for you right now. So that is the motif as we hear it in the main theme. So I took that melody and I messed with it a little bit for this ocean theme. I added some passing notes. I messed with the rhythm, just sort of embellished it a little bit. If I can solo it, this is what I came up with. No. So obviously I've messed with it quite a bit, and particularly the rhythm, added the notes. It's not extremely recognizable, but it still serves the purpose narratively. And I'll probably later on, once I get to the arranging portion, and I take my A section, my B section, and I add more stuff to it. I'll probably add that when we hear in the main theme in the background if I can find a way for it to not clash too much. So that is my A section, my sort of main point. I took it and I added just some strings and a harp, and that's what I have thus far. have another melody for this part that is still based off that same melody. So I have that, and that is the main motif for my B section. And basically, in case you can't tell, it's not finished, particularly in the case of the accompaniment. So, like, the violins, or not violins, the strings aren't finished. The harp only goes for so long, so like I have stuff to write. And that is going to be my goal for today. I've talked for like almost half of my time today, but that is the gist of it. I'm not going to talk so much in my later ones or later episodes of this, if I'm able to make this into a full series, about the context and everything. I'm just going to sort of jump in and get more stuff done. Hopefully I can have other people here too, so you can hear us kind of, a little bit back and forth, rather than me just sitting in front of a camera talking to an audience of 0. So, yeah, I'm just going to get started. So I had put in a dynamic change here on these strings to make them get a little bit stronger. I do not like that. For some reason, this chord change isn't super smooth to me, but I think I can fix that with some arrangement later on. Okay, so this is what we got. So that's my first section. I have this harp ostinato. So what the harp is doing is basically it's I took it, and on the very first beat of the bar, the harmony that the strings are outlining, which I believe is an F minor 7. Sorry. E, B, C, E, C. What is this? C. So I have a C, an E flat, and another C. I am not primarily a pianist. Okay, so I'm going to say this is a I think this is a C minor 7. That's what I wrote here. Yeah, that's what this is. Yeah, I just left out the 5th in the strings. The harp has the 5th in there. Okay, so that's what it is, and I voiced it on the harp similarly. See, I played a C2, which would be sorry. Okay, that's a C2. E flat 3, which would be all the way up here. A B flat 3. A G and a C. A G, C. I got a crunchy note in there. I'm not a pianist, but also this is not meant to be a pianist voicing. It's really meant. My thought is really for this to be played by 2 harps, because I have like 5 notes going on, spanning like 3 octaves at all times. So basically, the top line is just playing the melody. So it's playing that very fast figure there. Then I have a note below that that's just the 5th of the chord, so a G, just a G. On the bottom, I have the root. But in the middle, I have this ostinato, so this sort of back and forth thing on the E flat and B flat. So that would be like this, okay? And it just goes like So let me see if I can do that a little faster. It sounds a little bit better and harp and a little less cheesy. And when you mix it in. So that sort of idea of two notes, alternating with the lower, something like that. But then on the second time we get like a higher. That is going to be my sort of musical idea for this ostinato. And I'm going to see if I can just get through this B section of that and the harmony first, actually, now I think about it. Okay, so basically I have this C minor 7. And it goes to, I believe, this sort of amalgamation of notes that is sort of a mix of a B flat sus 2 and a B flat sus 4. If I'm being completely honest, I don't really know what this chord is. I'm sure if I really sat down and thought through it, I could figure that out. I'm thinking of it as some kind of B flat chord, particularly a B flat. So let's see, B flat, but a B flat sus. So also. So it's sort of the second and the fourth, and not the third, is what I'm thinking of it. Although fourth, I believe, is really an octave up, so it would probably be a what would that be? A 13. Sus add 13 chord, probably. Doesn't matter. What matters is that I think it sounds good, and I think it fits the sound that I'm sort of aiming for in my head. It also has 3 notes that stay the same, so that's not much movement. And the 2 notes that do move by not that much in the low voices. So I might mess with the voice line a little bit to change that, but this is what it sounds like. That change sounds like at the moment. C minor 7, B flat 7. So see, they really kind of stay the same. So I might end up changing that. Yeah, I probably, if I'm gonna do it, I should do it now. What if I take this? And so what I'm thinking I'm doing. I also like that. It sounds a little dissonant, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with dissonance and tension. But so basically, what I did is that top note, which was the suspended the 4 of the sus 4 chord, I went ahead and I traded that out for the third. So it's just like a sus 2 chord on the bottom. So you get something like this. This on the bottom. No, incorrect. Sorry, it's this on the bottom, and I'm playing this D flat on the top. So B minor or B flat minor, B sus 2 or B flat sus 2. No, with that D flat on the top. So it sounds dissonant, especially if you're on piano. But in the strings, it actually has like kind of a nice crunch to it. So I can take that. Now I'm going to move on to the next measure. So this is where I'm gonna. I kind of already figured out some kind of B flat chord and all that on that last measure. So now you're gonna kind of see like what I think about moving into new measure and having not done the harmony for it yet. So the most important thing is to sort of think about where we've come from. So we started with a C minor, and then we went to a B flat sus2. That would be. But our sort of key center in here, our sort of home chord, at least for this section, technically we are in, I believe, F minor. Yeah, because we're in A flat major, so F minor is our actual home. But this is in the B section, so we're changing it up, and I'm sort of centering around a C minor chord for this. Actually, is that right? Yeah, C minor chord for this. So that's good to know. We just went from a C minor to B flat minor. Sorry, wrong note. So C minor to B flat minor. I want to go somewhere a little brighter, but I have to keep that in mind. I need to look at the notes first. So like in the melody, our sort of main points. So that's a main point. That's a main point. So like these two notes, so that's a C and a G. So that already says the C minor chord again. But I don't want to go home just yet. So like I gotta think about I could do another sus chord with like a D sus4. Right, G sus4. That might work. Let's see. We've got an F in there, which would it just be like a seventh? A D flat as a quick passing tone, not super important. These are all too fast to really be important. I think it's worth a shot, so I'm going to try that. So I'm going to start, and my bass is just plunking out the leads, the roots this entire time. And that's all I am going to do here. So we put a G in the bass. Now I need to really think about voice leading, because I don't think about too much about voice leading with the bass. It's just hitting the root notes of the chord in a low octave, plucking it rather than bowing it. So pizzicato. But then for the strings, you got to be careful, because you got to sort of hit this balance of you don't want too much motion, or else you'll get like a chord that doesn't. It's like not good voice leading if you like take a chord like this, and then you go like. So, but if I wanted to do that, I could go. It's like a. So you see how instead of moving the entire chord up, feeling all blocky, just move the top two notes up to it. Okay, then you can move like it back down there and like there. That's better voice leading. But at the same time, with a lot of chords, like take a move from C minor or C major. I believe, yeah. If you do something like that, it sounds good in this case. But what if when you're at that C, you are voice led, so that the note that changes is like down here. It doesn't have a whole lot of motion. It has a little bit in this case, but oftentimes, it doesn't really sound like it changes too much, right? Especially if you're in a more complicated voicing. So you want to hit a balance of there being a little bit of motion, so it sounds good, but also not being too much motion. So I have to look at what notes I have and see like what the closest note of the chord is to there. That would make sense. So I believe we said I was going to a G sus4. I can hold out this note for a seventh. It's generally, oftentimes it works to just hold a seventh, or to just throw a seventh in there. it just adds a nice flavor. Unless you're in like on the dominant seventh, then it's crunchy and wants to go home. And you have to be careful of that. But most of the time, especially with the vibe I want for this, you can play this. Sorry, that's the one chord that I could not play down on. You could play either like this or like this. It just adds a little bit of color versus kind of boring. Nice, kind of has a bit of a beauty to it. That's like the sound of a major seventh, right? Or a minor seventh. We do that a little lower so it's not so piercing. The same kind of thing. So just adding a seventh in will sound good. Especially, I kind of want that sort of floaty, serene feeling for this piece, because again, ocean theme, sort of the life force of the planet and all that. So I want to make sure that. Okay, so we're going to a G sus4. So we want to keep this C because that is the that's the next note up. So sorry, I should go through this in a little more detail. So what the note I just had was voice led, where the bass was, or the chord before the one I'm building up right now had the bass just playing a B flat, right? And then I'm just now jumping down to a G, right? Sounds not, it doesn't have a feeling you want just on its own, but in context it'll sound good. Okay, so next was the cello, and it was playing in our old key. It's playing, I believe, our suspended. Is that right? No, it was playing our fifth. The F. Okay, so that's the F and a B flat is the fifth, but it becomes a seventh in some kind of G, right? It becomes that seventh. So we're gonna hold that over, so that stays there, so we get that color. Next up, you have the violin, and in our B flat chord that we just came from, it was doing a C, which was the sus on that, I believe. The sus2, but it's going to change into the sus4 on this chord, but we're going to keep it held out because it's already on a note that we need. Okay, so next up, we have a B flat. We're in G. G is our third, which we're wanting to avoid. We're wanting to have that fourth rather than the third. We're swapping them out. So that might have to change, but it doesn't immediately move to something. It could jump up to the 4, so that's a major second, a whole step, so that might work. And we've got a D flat, which is our fifth. Oh, are we on the diminished chord? I forgot what key I was in. We are on Okay, so I'm gonna try this. I might end up changing my chord now that I think about it, because I forgot that in the key of A flat major we had a G diminished chord. So I might change this later, but for now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hop that third in the old chord, the B flat, up to our. We already have a C. We don't need a C. You jump it down to the G, but that is a jump of a third, which you generally want to avoid. But I can try it. I can always perfect voice leading later. These are all rough ideas. The game isn't even really fully built or even close to it yet. But it's just, this is giving me something to work on, which as if I don't already have enough to work on. But we're going to keep this D. So this might be very crunchy, I'm not sure, but at the same time, if this works well, we might be able to, in the next measure, resolve it back to an A flat major before coming back around to that C minor, which is the, or no, did I say C flat? If I did, mix that. Okay, but that's the third, which would be Phrygian. So this is a very, this section gets a little bit dark in terms of harmony and like where everything's going, but who knows? It might sound good. We'll see. I think that actually might work. Again, very crunchy, but a good crunchy, especially if I can resolve it here. So we got a G, which already doesn't bode well for A flat, but at the same time, having like the melody play the seventh is a great way to give the melody some color. So that might work. E flat, C, and then we like go down to try and just overshoot the root and hit the G. We have a C, which will be in there. F doesn't quite fit in there, but probably sound good. Okay, so that's what I can do. I can now play. I can just sort of resolve our section to an A flat, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, so what I've run into now is I have two notes in two different instruments that are the exact same distance from a note that I need. So, like, which one do I choose? And then I also have a spicy note in there for good. Okay, so this is when I have to go back and I have to look at the first chord because that's what's going to come next. And I have to decide, okay, well, which one of this note of the chord that I just made, that diminished chord, which one is farther away from where it needs to be when we get back to the top of the phrase? Because then, okay, I should voice lead it in a direction and a way that will sort of bridge that gap so that when we come back around to the beginning, it's smooth. So on that diminished, we have a D flat, and in the at the top of the phrase, we have an E flat. So an E flat is also a note that I need in this chord, like an actual like note that I need in the chord that I'm about to do, this A flat. Because it'll be A flat, C, and E flat. That's the notes of the chord, and then I'm gonna put the G in there for the seventh to make it sound good. So that bodes well for it because then we can just bump it up from the D flat to the E flat and hold it out. Just sound like Canadian for a sec. Hold it out for when we come around to the top of the phrase. That would be good. What about the cello, which is the other one that is? They're both playing an E flat. Okay. That is unfortunate. What if okay. Okay, I'm just gonna put it in the top one, see how it sounds, and if I don't like it, I can do it later. Okay, so E flat, G, C, so this needs to be an A flat, which is a jump of a third, which I am not super happy with, but we'll see how it sounds. Okay. So I think that sounds pretty good. The question though is once you take it, you copy and paste your section and you play it again because this is uh, again this. So also I mentioned before this is music for a game, so it's meant to be very repetitive. I'll have like an A section that will um, it'll be like an 8 bar, like maybe 4 bar loop, right? It'll loop three or four times, right? Maybe some changes, right? That will make up my full A section, and then I'll move to a B section, which will be like a 4 bar loop like twice, and then we'll come back to an A section for like half as long. Then we go back to the B section for half as long. Then we climax on a full length A before coming back around to the smaller A. That will be once we get into arranging, which will probably be uh, I might do that next week because I'll probably work on this between now and next week. So I might get all this done and I might just do some arranging for you guys. I mean, I say you guys, but there is nobody watching. But so for me, when I'm older and I look back and I see how sad I was at this stage, yeah, how terrible at music I was. But okay, so I'm just gonna listen to it, see if it sounds good looping back around, and if it does, that's where I'm gonna call it for now. It's a little blocky, but I think it's largely you know what? It's probably because of the harp that I still haven't finished because you gotta know the harmony before I can make that ostinato. Yeah, I think that sounds fine. It's not very much of a resolution because we just resolved. We came from a G diminished, so like resolve that to an A flat. That is that right? Yeah, so it's like that's a really kind of big resolution there. And I'm bringing it back around to a C minor. So like it's not gonna sound super resolved coming to the top of the phrase, which I am okay with. That's part of what I want for this piece. Definitely this section of the piece. It's a very mysterious, floaty, never fully resolved because where it resolves is where it should have resolved. So yeah, I like that, and I'm gonna go ahead and call it for now. Maybe I'll have some people watching me next time. But yeah, see ya.